Hey, what's up? Welcome in. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game. It's rolling quick. It's the Kansas State game preview. For those scoring at home, this is episode number 584. 584, which I guess would put us, let's see, 216 away from episode 800, which is not happening.
If we did 2 a day for the next 100 days,
be done.
Could do it.
Off into the sunset we go.
Days, 120 days.
Getting closer. When it was episode 400 and I said there's never going to be, was that when it started? Was that when it started when I said there's not going to be 800? Probably. Anyway, thanks for being with us.
You notice the days are getting shorter?
Oh, yeah. I know. Trust me, I know. It's dark.
You know, it snowed at Snowshoe.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Saw that this week. Interesting. 'Tis the season. Three Guys Before the Game. Rain, snow, sleet, hail. We're here. Thanks to Comax Business Systems. They keep West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go to GoMart and visit them. Why, you say? Well, if you get one of those rewards cards, you will instantly save on food and fuel. Visit GoMart.com for details, or just download the app, GoMart app. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Start your day the Three Guys way with a Tudor's biscuit. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. They're the sponsor of Spreads on Stats. All right, let's do this bad boy. Those guys think the Coal Rush game's still on.
Hey, I got black. I'm going to get use out of it.
Obviously, I tell you what. I got all this money into this black stuff here. I'm just going to keep
actually, it's all given to me. It's all free.
Bringing it out. All right, here we go.
Paid for anything.
Second home game at night in a row, which is an oddity. It's West Virginia and Kansas State 1/2 hour earlier, 7:30. Actually, 7:40.
Oh, really?
Kick is 7:40.
Oh, thanks.
Last week it was an 8:05, so you're 25 minutes earlier. This week it's West Virginia and Kansas State, a team that the Mountaineers did not see last year. Second week in a row that we've played a team that we didn't see a year ago. However, they're familiar. They're familiar. Their numbers speak for themselves, whether you've seen them or not. Running back DJ Giddens, second in the conference in running that football, over 130 yards per game. Quarterback Avery Johnson, quick rising star in this league at the quarterback position. Jace Brown, catching a lot of passes. Got a few young fellas over there on defense that are long and play angry. It's going to be a game. They're better than Iowa State. There, I said it.
What?
I said they're better than Iowa State.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like in Vegas, let's just say it's neutral, and they're playing in Flatwoods.
Okay.
The line would favor K-State. Senator, would you agree with that?
I don't think that would right now, but I agree with you that Kansas State is better.
I think it might be -1.
No,
K-State?
with the power ranks right now, Iowa State's ahead of where Kansas State is, I believe. I haven't looked at that. Don't care, quite frankly, about Iowa State and Kansas State matching up. I do think Kansas State is better than Iowa State.
Okay.
So I agree with part of your point.
He gave me half.
Yeah.
He gave me half what I was looking for. All right. So coming up, obviously a big-time challenge for the Mountaineers that did not get it done last Saturday. Now they've got another opportunity here against a Kansas State team that came through a ton of adversity last Saturday. I mean, it was set up for them in a hostile environment in Colorado. Coach Prime had the Buffaloes fired up, right? Ralphie came out. He had the crowd all whirled up. Crowd was really good. In K-State, I mean, let's just say this: it wasn't symphony smooth, but they got out of there with got out of there with a W. I'll be interested to see what, if any, that does to them. Does that bolster them? Does that give them a bounce in their collective step? Or is coming on the road for the second straight week, does that maybe take away a little bit of their polish? That's the question. You pondering that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of all of that.
I thought you were going to go to get your Hoppy's obvious
Well, I
observation.
can do that whenever you cue me up. Are you queuing me up?
No, I'm just
You teeing me up?
No, give me an opening thought.
Okay, opening thought is who Hoppy's obvious observations is. I think you started down that correct path. One is, once again for the second week in a row, I think you get a 5 on the opportunity index.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, and frankly, it's like deja vu all over again. You're playing a ranked conference team at home at night where the opponent is about a 3.5 point favorite. And you got a chance to get right. It feels almost like last week, even though you guys are going to argue that Kansas State is better, and I'll defer to you on that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is going to be a determinative game because there's so much angst out there after 3 losses, and which we're going to get into about Coach Neil Brown's comment at his press conference this week, which was taken out of context, and I'll speak to that as we will later in this broadcast. So there's a high level of angst. Now you have an opportunity to get right and tamp that down with a win, but if you lose, then it's going to go from a boil to a roar. That's what's going to happen. This Kansas State team, I mean, listen to what Chad Scott said. They don't do anything to hurt themselves. If they're responsible for B and C gap, they're going to be in B and C gap. If they're supposed to blitz, they blitz. If they're supposed to keep the contain, they keep the contain. They're not going to get greedy and try to make a play that's not their play. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. Brad, does that sound like last week's opponent?
Yes.
So you have a well-coached, fundamentally sound team with a running quarterback. And Wyatt Thompson, the play-by-play announcer for the Wildcats, I talked to him yesterday, he says that Thompson can run like the wind, like a Midwestern wind. He's a fast guy. And when you have running quarterbacks, a running quarterback, it gives you problems. And he said they replaced all of the offensive line from last year. And I said, but it's Kansas State. You always have big old offensive linemen. He said, well, that's true. They're pretty good again. So they've reloaded on the offensive line. So huge challenge, a 5 on the opportunity index.
If you don't mind me asking, when did you talk to Wyatt?
Yesterday afternoon.
Oh, but he wasn't on your Gab Fest show?
No, I texted him and he got back to me and we had a nice chat.
So you just basically, I mean, you were just working a source. You're milking a cow.
Well, 2 things. One, I wanted to see what Wyatt thought. And second of all, he's just a great guy and I like reconnecting with him.
Yeah, he is.
But also Wyatt, being Wyatt, said, boy, we're worried about coming to Morgantown. You come there and it's a night game. But that's, they're just great folks. But I wanted to get his insight.
Very Mountaineer-esque.
Oh, yeah.
We often say that.
Yeah.
But very, 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 very similar.
Yes.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Senator?
So let's hit the situational spot first because we'll get into the matchup analysis here in a minute. But situationally, you guys kind of touched on it a little bit. This sets up as a really good spot for West Virginia. And as I always say in situational spots, you don't necessarily always win the games that set up as good spots for you, but you like starting there. West Virginia did win one against Oklahoma State. That was a great spot. West Virginia went in, played an A-plus game, took care of business. I still thought you had a good one last week with everything going on around the game and the matchup on the field. You didn't take advantage of it. You made too many mistakes. You didn't get the win. Here's another good one, and here's why. You're at home off a disappointing loss with a lot of external noise. And I normally say, well, how does that help West Virginia? This program's shown that's really when it's in its wheelhouse. It has popped back from the dead multiple times in these situations. Look no further than earlier against Pitt. Right? When you return home in a game that you feel had to be a must-win and you handled it, you came from behind, stormed from behind at the end and pulled one off. You go back to last year, all the external noise around the program that Neil was going to get fired, you're going to finish last in the Big 12, all of that. What'd you do? Came out and had a successful season. So this group has shown an ability to tune out the external noise and go to work. So from that standpoint, I like it. I might have a caveat to that coming up. But that particular, just on its surface, that has played well. Kansas State's in its second straight road game, as you guys alluded to. They're crossing over into their third time zone to play this one. They were in the Mountain time zone. They went home to Central. Now they're coming east, all within a week's time frame.
The same conference?
Same conference.
3 time zones?
Last week was highly emotional, and I don't mean that because they snatched a victory from the jaws of defeat. They were down. They gave up a near pick 6 with a couple minutes to go. Didn't turn into a pick 6. Guy was tackled. Colorado punches it in. That place was going bananas with 2 minutes to go when Avery Johnson and K-State got the ball back. They had a great play, big pass down the line, left sideline, got him a touchdown and won it. That was a game that looked like a loss with 2 minutes remaining. if you listen to their folks, multiple of their folks talked about the difficult experience it was in Colorado from a fan behavior standpoint, from a Colorado administration standpoint.
You mean it wasn't a good fans didn't treat
the Kansas State folks did not seem to have a good experience in Colorado.
Fans were mean to the Kansas State people?
That's what it sounds like. I wasn't there.
But you're hearing reports.
That's what you've heard. So that was an emotional game, an emotional win, a lot going on around in that stadium, and K-State found a way to win it in dramatic fashion. Now they have to get back up emotionally for this week. And again, listen to their folks. They're saying what Wyatt said. Oh, no, I got to go to Morgantown at night. It's a difficult place to play. Had this game marked at the beginning of the season as a potential stumbling block for the Wildcats. It's a hard place to play. So all of that's going on there. And oh, by the way, they play Kansas next week.
Right.
So this does set up, again, I'm not predicting, so I don't need 10 texts next week if West Virginia loses. I'm just simply saying from a situation standpoint, you've got some factors that you can build upon if you're West Virginia.
No, you did a very nice job of laying out the possible setup there. You're not saying one way or the other. You're just saying from a situational standpoint, folks in Las Vegas would look at this as the situation.
Part of why I would think the line is where it is, because power ranking-wise, that probably should be another couple of points. A lot of projections out there have this 5 or 6, but I think the situational spot matters to those lines, and I think West Virginia's in an advantageous spot. Now, can they take advantage of a team that I think's maybe the best in this league? But we'll get to that.
Oh,
you think K-State's the best?
I think K-State's pretty good, and pretty good and really good, and going to present some problems from a matchup standpoint for West Virginia, which will.
You're going to get into that on spreads on stats?
I will.
Okay.
I'm basically going to go on one category and ride it. You're going to get a lot of stuff on one category.
Okay. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business System. I heard from Bob.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bob over there, the owner. Bob actually.
What did he say?
He's terrific. He says, hey, keep on doing what you're doing. So I guess that's good, right? He says, hey, we're enjoying the show. If you're a business owner, Comax Business Systems literally has every type of business equipment that offices need, but right now really have great opportunities when it comes to business phone systems, no matter what size you may need. You know Hoppy?
Yeah.
He's got Hoppy's a one-line guy, right? He just wants one line coming in. And then there are other people.
Party line.
Yeah, let's just say you need a lot of lines, like hundreds of lines for your business phone system. Comax got you taken care of. All you have to do is give them a call, and they will come in and give a complete look and consultation for free and let you know what they think you need to make your communication highly efficient. Just visit them at comaxwv.com. That's comaxwv.com. As they say, from one line to 1,000 lines, they got you covered. And when it comes to payment, leasing, renting, owning, whatever you want, they got it.
Could they give me a fax machine if I needed one?
Yeah, they could do that.
Okay.
They could do that. What other, name me one other piece of like office equipment that isn't used anymore.
Pager.
Oh, that's a good one. BlackBerry and a pager. Yeah. Those are those kind of things. All right. The numbers are in. All precincts have reported. So what do you say?
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion. This is Spreads on Stats. It is brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. What do? Conley CPA provides value beyond numbers, complete service, public accounting, and consultation throughout West Virginia and surrounding states. Think of it this way.
Yeah.
Right? Lambs, sheep, have a shepherd that guides and walks them.
Anxious to see where this goes.
They guide and they walk them. They guide them.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Conley CPA, their accountants also do the same thing to their clients. They guide them and they walk them into greener pastures so that the green stays in your pocket and not to the feds.
Okay. I see what you did there.
They consult. They will help you not only just do the basic rudimentary number stuff, they give you advice.
But you're not suggesting the customers are sheep.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
I think
that was just your metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, Shepherd's Guide and Conley CPA guides.
Okay.
They'll give you guidance.
All right.
They can provide accounting services for you. Outsourcing your accounting is a possibility. You want to do a little bit of it in-house, they can take care of the rest of it. You want to outsource your CFO services, they can do that as well. And probably the thing they're most proud of is that they're the sponsor of Spreads on Stats. So you say you're going down one line here. By the way, he's a little tight.
He is, but that's Brad. You can just roll with it. Sometimes he's loose, sometimes he's tight. Just roll with it.
There's never a middle, though, is there?
Not usually. But that's okay. It's Brad. We know Brad. So if he's tight, we go with that. If he's loose, we go with that.
Okay.
Not tight. We just got stuff. Stuff to get into.
So you're taking this game like
serious. We got games. Yeah, get stuff.
All right.
Gotta buckle down. Find ways to win.
I understand. I get it.
Just trying to help.
What'd the computer say?
So let's talk this. Here's the area that we're going to talk about in this entire segment. The running game.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting to me in this matchup. The last 2 games for West Virginia has been strength on weakness. Oklahoma State and Iowa State both had trouble stopping the run. West Virginia wanted to run it on offense. Oklahoma State couldn't. West Virginia won, Hop.
Right.
Iowa State did. West Virginia lost that game. Both of the offenses for those opposing teams, Oklahoma State and Iowa State, had been effective through the air. West Virginia had struggled to defend the pass. Did a pretty good job against Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Bowman, totally ineffective. You win the game. Rocco Becht, pretty effective. Those 2 receivers, pretty good. West Virginia lost the game. Other reasons why. But that was strength on weakness on both sides of the ball, and we wanted to see which one turned out. I think this is totally different this week. This, to me, is strength on strength. This is both teams want to run it. Both teams have been pretty good running it. This is both defenses have been very good against the run. Who stops the run? This, to me, is run the football. Both sides. Can West Virginia slow down what's a super running attack for Kansas State? Can West Virginia get something going against what's been a good run defense and a West Virginia rush offense that, I continue to say this, guys, there's some numbers, and I won't give them all to you now, that are really good. This offense has some, second in the league in some different offensive categories, and yet I think everybody, Neil included, would look at the offense and go, yeah, it still hadn't clicked yet outside of the Oklahoma State game. I think there's some runway here, but it just hasn't got on track, a lot of it because of the turnovers and the mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. But this is an offense that feels close. So we're going to hit the offense side. The other biggest question on this is just, can West Virginia's run defense hold up? We've mentioned this going into the Oklahoma State game. It's been pretty good. It's taken really talented individual backs and held them in check for the most part. It's getting probably the best back it's seen all year, and I'm including the Penn State guys in that equation with DJ Giddens. He's been outstanding. He leads the Big 12 in rushing yards. So let's get into some of these numbers. Giddens leads the Big 12 in rushing yards. Jaheim White, Garrett Green, and CJ are 10, 11, and 12 in the Big 12 in rushing yards. And again, that's from what feels like an offense that hasn't clicked yet, Hop, right? It hasn't been nearly as dominant or explosive as we saw last year, and you're still putting those together. So which of those groups comes out to winning? I mentioned Green right there. This game does feature, you mentioned Avery Johnson's ability to run, Hop.
Yes.
These are the 2 best running quarterbacks in the league in terms of yards rushing. Garrett's 1, Avery Johnson number 2. Here's a big question on this part of it, though. Johnson's health is something to keep an eye on. He left that Colorado game with what looked like an oblique type of injury, and it just came on a pass. Nobody hit him. Came on a pass. He winced, grabbed his side, went out of the game and to the locker room. Now, he returned and had that big game-winning touchdown pass. It was, by the way, a great pass. Returned to the game, but they didn't run him after that. So that begs the question coming into this game, how often and willing are they going to be to run Johnson, especially early? Do they try and pare it down and think they can get it done with just DJ Giddens? Which maybe they can, because right, he's a stud. And I'm going to get some more numbers on Giddens. He's an absolute stud. But does that limit Kansas State a little bit if they try not to run Johnson? Do they save him just for high leverage situations, key short yardage or red zone carries? It would certainly help the defense if his run game is hampered even a little bit, because again, he's fantastic. Some things to watch here with the 2 quarterbacks running. Garrett, when he takes off, has picked up 44% of his rushing yards after contact. Okay? Wow. Almost half his yards. It's actually down in terms of where he was last year. It's closer to 50%. But how about this for Avery Johnson? Only 28% of his rushing yards are after contact. So he's getting some space to run, right? And his speed has a lot to do with that. But he's been very good in the run game. These 2 teams, guys, have the 2 best tackling grades in the Big 12 per PFF. Which team can get the other quarterback and running back on the ground? 60% of Giddens' yards are after contact, as are CJ's. And they're both the bigger of the 2 backs that both teams will use. So who tackles better? Colorado missed 16 tackles last week, according to PFF, on Kansas State. If West Virginia's in that territory, you've got some problems. And remember, that was a pretty good run defense that had shut down UCF for Colorado, and Kansas State had some success on the ground, Giddens in particular. So which team can tackle better? How about this number, guys? This jumped to me. We've talked about this West Virginia offense. It just hasn't been able to break loose for the big plays, especially on the ground, and a lot of that's by design. All of those rushers for West Virginia come in at the top of the scouting report for opponents, right? You think they prepare for Garrett running it, for Jaheim and CJ? They have. But here's a number to back this up. 71% of Jaheim White's yards have come after contact this year. 71% for Jaheim, a guy that wants to operate in space. That number last year, as he ran for nearly 800, just 47% of yards after contact. That's a massive change and jump. He hasn't been able to break loose and get out in space. Teams are doing a better job of bottling that up. That's something to watch. Can Jaheim White get out in space and get you some big plays? Because we've seen, guys, it's really hard to ask an offense, particularly this West Virginia offense, to have multiple 10-plus play drives and get touchdowns. You've got to find a way to get some easy scores.
You know, Brad, except for the Oklahoma State game, or was it the Kansas game, whatever. We watch these games, we talk about it, we keep waiting. You think every time Jaheim gets the ball and he's getting to the outside, like, this is it, right? And just haven't seen he just hasn't broken those runs, which you think is just the next run.
Yeah, there just hasn't been enough space. And again, the same could be true. We're talking running game, but the same could be true in the passing game as well. Teams have scouted that, and they're just saying to you, you're not going to throw it over the top like you did last year. You're going to have to move down the field by throwing in front of us. So maybe this isn't the week to do this, but you've got to get back to finding some easy touchdown scoring drives. Get a turnover and get a short field and get something that's easy instead of the slog of the 12-play drive that you're asking this offense to do the whole time. I'll give you one last thing on the running game here, guys. We often talk about the skill guys in the run game, as I just did for however many minutes that was.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time in program history, I'm bringing a new stat.
What now?
Excuse me. Wait a second.
First time in program history.
Hang on. Let me do this. Good.
New stat, Kirchville.
Yes.
Historic moment in the show.
Well, in that case, let me do. Wait 1 second. Let me do this.
What are you doing?
Well, I got a little 3-second stinger. Hang on a sec. What? Let me just hang on 1 second,
you're
please.
not
What's
ready.
happening?
Well, I just want to do this since it's historic. Okay.
So this is from my guys over at Sports Info Solutions.
Oh yeah, SIS.
SIS, of course. They got some great stuff over there. You talk about getting lost for hours. Here's one. Here's a new one for us. Blown blocks.
Oh.
Ooh, BBs.
Blown blocks. It's defined as any time a blocker does not successfully block the defender they attempted to engage with, and as a result, gives the defender an opportunity to negatively affect the play. When you go through the league leaders in blown blocks, you have to start scrolling for these two teams. You're scrolling down the list. You don't stop on a Kansas State player until number 21 in the league individually. 21st in blown blocks.
Mm-hmm. So efficient and effective.
You have to go down a couple more before you get to the first West Virginia player. That's at 25. The K-State player that's at 21, in terms of blown blocks, has blown a block on only 2% of his snaps, and that's their worst guy. West Virginia's player has blown a block on 1.7% of his blocks. That's their highest rate or worst rate, right? The most blown blocks on the team, and that's what you're dealing with. So you're not talking about a lot right here. Both of these lines have been very good. Of the 384 combined run blocks for those two guys I'm talking about, they've only had 2 total blown blocks, less than 1% of their snaps.
It's incredible.
And we could, I just didn't want to bore everybody with all those details. Could have gone across the whole offensive line, but you're basically going to find that. These have been good offensive lines. These are offensive lines that have been effective in the running game. West Virginia's, I think, in particular, has been very good in the pass game. So 2 really good offensive lines. This is just going to simply be a question, who can line up and run against the other team, which, again, both of these defenses have been pretty good at run stopping as well. So there's a ton of other information to get into. We could talk about passing game. We could talk about the ability of these teams, but both these teams want the other quarterback to have to throw. And if the other quarterback beats you with his arm, you're going to tip your cap to him. Right? If you're Kansas State, you're going to say, we are not letting those three guys run on us. Garrett, go ahead and throw underneath all day long if you can. Let's see if your receivers can beat our guys in one-on-one matchups on the outside. We talked about how Kansas State did this to Oklahoma State, where they dropped everybody down in the run game and they put those guys on the island and said, go ahead, come on. And Kansas State has questions about their secondary. They had questions coming in. They still do. They've had some injuries, but they're going to line up and say to West Virginia's receivers, we don't think you're better than us.
Right.
Go ahead and show us. Stop the run. On West Virginia's side of things, the same thing is going to be true. That does give me some concern, right? Because West Virginia's going to have to do what, Tony, to help stop the run game?
Bring some guys
Devote
down.
more personnel, right? You're going to have to do something with the safeties. You're going to have to. Colorado went with 5 guys across the front in the second half.
Yeah.
Right? They basically just said, you're not going to run it. Go ahead, Avery Johnson, try and beat us. Now, he ultimately did, but they just said, you can't run. We're not going to let you run anymore. Put 5 guys across the front, drop people down, put 8, 9 in the box, said, go ahead and figure it out.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to. So I focus all on running game. Each of these teams is probably going to have to throw it at some point to have some success and move the chains. But who's going to line up and be able to say, I know you want to stop us. We can still run on you.
Yeah, I mean, they're about as extreme as you could be. Currently in the Big 12, they're number 1 in run defense, 15 in pass defense. Couple of other notes. These are like babies. He comes in with the high-level calculus stuff. These are baby stats, but I just doing some simple math. They are allowing only 11 points per game at home. They've allowed 31 points per game in their road games. Right? So
is that opponent adjusted though? I mean,
you had
Tulane they gave up 27.
Right, you went to Tulane.
At BYU they gave up 38, which was like in 3 minutes, and a lot of weird things happened. So.
And then in Colorado they gave up 28.
BYU, they turned the ball over a bunch of times at BYU, right?
That Colorado offense is different. That's a beast of an offense.
Oh, I agree.
That's a dude at quarterback and receiver. So that's that's a different offense.
You can do what you want. I mean, I'll present the numbers. You decide. I mean, that's all I'm kind of saying. All right, so I can see you got a little bit more.
Yeah, let's do a little bit more. All right, fine. Let's keep going. That didn't take as long as I thought it would to get through. The Avery Johnson factor, and again, I know West Virginia's defense hasn't inspired a lot of confidence in its coverage units. You're still asking young linebackers to be in the right spot. You're asking corners and safeties that have not gelled to get it together without the communication problems you've seen all season, in particular last week. Can you get an Avery Johnson? I would have preferred to be playing Avery Johnson, trying to throw it back in September. I do think he's starting to find his groove, and this just in. You can get better throughout the season. I think he is as a thrower. He's got an 11 touchdown, 5 interception ratio, 11-5. But if you look at the PFF numbers, 6 big-time throws to 7 turnover-worthy plays. So, Hop, what am I going to ask for in this game?
You want a couple turnovers.
I'd like some regression. In this part of it, and see if you can get that from Avery Johnson throwing it. Let's give you a couple Garrett numbers real quick. We've talked about the turnovers, and that's, again, number 1 key, and that's becoming something I always say. It's a number 1 key, but we rarely talk about it because it's the number 1 key and everybody knows it's the number 1 key. It might have to start being something we talk about every game. The turnovers and the mistakes are what are holding this particular West Virginia team back. And we talk so much about it on the offensive side because it's easy to quantify. The defense obviously has to clean its stuff up. Letting those guys just run untouched through the secondary last week with communication issues obviously can't happen. But how about just some numbers here? Last season, there was no quarterback in the Big 12 that played more games with fewer interceptions than Garrett. So if you want to look at something, if he can limit those this week, and you can keep moving forward with the offense and not kill drives, that's huge right there, even if nothing else changes. If the snaps are good and there's no interceptions, that right there changes the offensive profile, does it not?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Clean. That's the word. Got to play clean.
Garrett's averaging 4.92 air yards per attempt. That's down just a hair from last year at 5.44.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson, 3.57 air yards per attempt. That's 12th, and he's 12th in the Big 12 in intended air yards. So there hasn't been a ton downfield. There was to beat Colorado. How's this pass defense do? In what's going to be limited help, probably, because you're going to dedicate guys to stop the run. Are they able to just drop back? And are they able to run a little bit? Or if they're stopped, do they just say, okay, fine, you want us to throw? We don't think you can stop us. Now we're going to throw on you.
Well, I think on both sides. I think West Virginia's first objective is stop the run.
Has to be.
So they're going to say, okay, you're going to beat us with your arm, You're not going to run it. And the same thing with them, right? You don't know, but we could be on the schedule here for another limited possession game. If these two teams can run the football, shortening the game, right? Long possessions. West Virginia used up half the first quarter last week with its first drive. You could be on limited possessions, which further makes the turnovers that much more important.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You got 8 possessions last week. You had 2 interceptions and a missed field goal. I mean, now your window is incredibly narrow.
And a field goal on a fourth. So half of the possessions, you only got 3 points.
Yeah.
So you talk about having to be ultra efficient to win that game. So turnovers in this one, and I've mentioned this before, West Virginia is just really struggling in this area. There's only like 5 Power 5 teams that are worse than them. And if I went through the list, there are teams that you go, yep, they're really struggling. So you alternate between, it's a Florida State, it's a Purdue or 2 of those. And you look at those and say, okay, yeah, no wonder. It's actually one of those, the 2 sides of the coin I give you, that you're like, here's what the problem has been offensively. But then you say, it's pretty amazing some of your other numbers are as efficient as they are, given you're turning it over at a rate that's in the bottom of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this is also, too, where's Kansas State in the turnover department? They had a ridiculous plus 23 turnover margin the last 2 seasons coming into this year. 23. There were only 4 teams each of those years that were better than them or had more plus turnovers.
They should regress to the mean.
That's what you keep saying. Now they have. They're at a 0 margin this year. They're dead even. 7 giveaways, 7 takeaways. So they have regressed. That's what happens. But can you regress enough to get a couple?
It'd be a nice little regression on Saturday.
Be great.
Be a little generous. Thanksgiving's coming up. Share. Do a little sharing of the ball. Like to finish up with a couple of those, right, on Saturday.
But West Virginia's defense also isn't helping itself. It's not creating any turnovers. It's not
Correct.
taking any away.
Correct.
Under one a game. So in addition to blowing assignments and not being in the right spot cover-wise, you're not getting any turnovers. So the ones you're giving back are even more magnified because you're automatically losing the turnover margin game.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, there
Very
you go.
good.
No, that kind of explains why I was in such a serious mood when he came in. He had a lot of stuff on his plate.
A lot of data.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of a wet week here in West Virginia, but this weekend is going to be really, really nice, which means, and I think, as I've said, gone on record, you know this, that these are the best days of the year, which means it's prime boating season.
Yeah.
Like,
Still.
don't think for a second, I know the morning's cold. You don't want to be out there like super early, but you go out there right now on a Lou Wendell pontoon.
Get one of their icebreakers.
They're clippers. They got a clipper that breaks through the ice. Lou Wendell Marine Sales, located in St. Albans, been in business for nearly 50 years. They are the single #1 pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia, selling Avalon pontoons, which are made 100% right here in the United States. But wait, there's more. Their G3 John boats are absolutely terrific, and they've got basically everything you need to be in the water. You see that guy right there on that boat? If you're watching in, look at that. See what kind of a good boat that is? Like, he can stand there and not go in to the water. You see how that works, Brad? I mean, that is a top-notch G3 boat. They're there and available to you, plus anything you need when it comes to marine accoutrements. Oh,
Look at
inside
that.
look.
Yeah.
At Lou Wendell Marine Sale. Got a buoy there. Motor oil, big old rafts, everything you want. And this time of the year, price to move. Let's go. At LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Yeah, probably a good time to go in and get some deals.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think wheeling and dealing as we speak. Let's do Textual Healing. It is brought to us by episode800.com, where you can go and take a look, buy any of the merchandise that you oftentimes see us wear, plus our coffee, plus just all different kinds of stuff. I think we got chainsaws on there this week. Firewood season coming up there. I think we've got the...
Unconfirmed.
Don't have chainsaws.
I may have misheard.
I think not chainsaws.
Thought for sure we had chainsaws for firewood.
There's no firewood either.
Maybe not. All right. Real quick, this weekend.
Homeless Dave just heard that. Went, wait a minute. We can get some firewood.
You know what?
I know a guy.
Tony might have an idea there. This weekend, the food court is open beginning at 4 o'clock on Friday, October 18, up until about 9 o'clock. Hudson Clement's dad will once again perform.
Oh, is he going to be there again?
Mm-hmm.
He was terrific.
They brought him back.
He was terrific.
He was fantastic. So Huddy's dad will play.
And Murphy's dad.
I keep saying that.
Mike.
Murphy's dad. I just have to start referring to him as the Clement brothers' dad.
There.
Mike and mom. She's there too.
Tracy.
Tracy's there. So check them out, and it's just part of the deal. But food will begin to be served at 4 o'clock. Rev Kev's Barbecue, plus all the other folks that make it a nice little special.
The Clements are a fun bunch, by the way.
Yes, they are. They have fun.
They have a good time. A great group. And they are other people they've brought in from the Eastern Panhandle, and just it's fun anyway. I mean, everybody there again is in a good mood. Everybody's enjoying a 304 or Rev Kev barbecue or a little wine or a little brownie.
It's not on the menu, but maybe a secret menu. Duca might have those fried Reese cups again.
Excuse me? Do you think so?
I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
I had one. They were really
good.
So that's, and then on Saturday.
Not really on the official menu, I don't think.
Senator, what time's Saturday?
Oh, check on that.
I'll look here.
Look while
these guys talk. I know Dave sent it out earlier this week.
He did. Okay, I can look while you're doing. Keep going.
It's not 8 a.m. I don't think, but they'll be there all day.
The cool thing about the Reese's is it makes you feel special too. Like not on the menu, but you go up to Duke and hey man, you got any of that?
Yeah.
He says, let me fix something. I'll fix you up. Get something for you.
Yeah. 10 a.m., Tony.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. to 6 p.
10 a.m. to 6 o'clock on Saturday, game day. Come on in, have a big time.
S'mores are available.
What now?
Dave did provide some information. It'd help if we'd look at the information and see what it is.
is.
Duca will have s'mores.
But also, again, don't forget about the brownies. I've gotten brownies.
Brownies are great.
Each time they are fantastic.
From the Brownie House.
From the Brownie House at the Seneca Center.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, 4 to 9 Friday, 10 to 6 Saturday.
Done. All right, let's jump in. Obviously, the Neil Brown comment from Monday's press conference making news all week long. Hoppy, to the point that you wrote one of your Metro News commentaries about it.
I did.
What is your take?
This is my take. I saw it exploding on social media. I listened and watched the entire press conference and listened to his answer a couple of times. And this is what he said, but it's important also to know the question. The reporter asked the question, and it was something to the effect of, you had this huge crowd for Iowa State with a coal rush, and now we got another night game, and what can you say to the fans? It was really a very generic sort of almost softball toss-up to the coach. And what he said was, quote, I get that the fans want to win, but what I would say is, did they have a good time? Did they enjoy it? It was a pretty good atmosphere. I'm assuming they had a pretty good time tailgating. So if they are in the deal for enjoyment, then I would come back. So some interpreted that as Brown saying that as long as the fans are having fun, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Just come and have fun. Okay, a couple of points. First is, that was an awkward answer. It's just an awkward answer. Mountaineer Nation was disappointed. Losing hurts, especially when, fans are investing time and money to come to the game and the game goes the way it does. So fans are raw. So it was an awkward answer to hear. But here's the other part to think about, is that I think what Brown was trying to do, when you consider the question and what he said, what he was trying to be positive about the WVU football experience, to make a pitch for the fans to stay engaged. But the idea that Brown was trying to convince fans that the party is bigger than the plays is just, to me, is implausible. Because when in the press conference or when in Brown's history has he tried to suggest that as long as you're having a good time, that winning doesn't matter? He's never done that. And that's not, I'm certain that was not his intent during the press conference. So when you listen to the entire press conference, you hear him say more than 24 times talking about taking responsibility for the loss, expressing that West Virginia not making enough plays to win, understanding the frustration of the fans. And at the end of that answer, he said they come back for another entertaining game, but hopefully we can play better at the end and win. You know, one of Brown's attributes, which we've talked about before, is that Brown tries to answer questions at a time when coaches, politicians, public figures obfuscate, redirect, vacillate, or throw reporters out of press conferences or refuse to acknowledge reporters. And Brown, to his credit, has always tried to answer the questions, what I say, and try to answer it pretty honestly for a coach. And I think that is a great attribute. So he was trying to answer the question in a way to encourage fans to stay engaged. And what happened was, through social media and through those who want to get Brown fired, picked out a segment of that sounded bad, and it went national, and it exploded. And I think it was taken out of context, and I think was unfair. Now, people are going to say, oh, yeah, Hoppy, you're a suck-up. You know, you're just sucking up to Neil Brown, and you're on the payroll and all this stuff. And the reality is I'm just trying to be fair and honest about what I really think took place here. Neil Brown's going to be judged ultimately on wins and losses, He loses more games than he wins, he's going to lose his job this year, next year, the year after that. He has to win games, okay? But to take that comment and take it out of context and judge him as harshly as he has been judged in West Virginia nationally, I think is patently unfair.
Well said. Senator, you want in on this?
I would agree with all of that 100%. We've said as much over the last week or so. I think the other part is, listen, I get that the wins and losses are emotional, and they're emotional for everybody. So it's one of those deals, guys. If you win, listen, coaches have said a lot weirder things than what that was. He said the atmosphere was good. It was good. It is good. It was good that night. Win games, that stuff goes away. You lose games, unfortunately, it opens it up to all of this other stuff that comes in. I think the ultimate point there is he was trying to answer a question for a reporter and give him a respectful and thoughtful answer to a question that was asked simply about fans returning. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, in my mind, he wasn't minimizing winning. That's not what he does. Why would the head coach minimize the winning at the expense of everything else?
Wouldn't.
So I think that part has gotten onto a ridiculous narrative that's what that meant. It just simply was not.
And, you know,
it surprised me that we've talked about this for an entire week, but here we are. But at the end of the day, go win, and this stuff goes away.
You got to win. Okay, I don't want anybody to not understand that that's the most important thing. We understand it. But you know what? There are other coaches who win more and abuse fans and abuse reporters. And everybody goes, well, he's winning, so I guess we got to take it.
That's what I just said. That's what happened. You win, and you can say whatever ridiculous things you want to do. And conversely, when you lose and people are emotional, everything's going to get picked apart. And I think that's what happened in this particular situation.
Yeah. But that
wasn't his. There's no way his intent was to minimize the importance of winning.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, but in the era in which we live, that's what happens. But bottom line is you need to win, and these things will take care of themselves. If you don't, that will take care of itself.
Now, is now the time to just say for the text messages for next week, we understand 4,000 of you are going to text us and say, Hoppy and I don't know what we're talking about, and we get it, so fine. You don't need to send that. Understood?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, we spent a lot of time on Sunday's podcast reading a lot of the text. And there is a continuity of theme that one could say becomes repetitive. And I think that obviously if you just keep saying the same thing, reading the same thing over and over and again. So yeah, if your one mission in life is to just continue to harp on some of the things that have already been discussed and are discussed, then it's not going to get read. I mean, we get it. We talk about it. I don't know what more ways that we can say, what we say. And what we say is what we feel and what we think. And there are those out there that I think that we say things that we don't believe in simply to support the university or to maintain job status with the university. And that's the absolute farthest thing from the truth.
If you think that about me, and that's fine, read the commentaries I wrote about Bob Huggins. Read the commentaries I wrote about Rich Rodriguez. I'm not kowtowing to any popularity contest with the university.
Yeah. Here we go. The folks at Gomart want to make your weekends even better. Did you know this?
What?
Gomart triple point Saturdays?
What?
Triple points. Every Saturday this month, Gomart reward members, those who have the card, earn triple points on purchases. Perfect time to stack up on game day snacks, drinks, while boosting your points balance. Use those points later for discounts on gas, other great stuff. If you're not already a Gomart rewards member, then now's the time to join. Start earning. More details, check out the Gomart app or visit gomart.com. Check them out. Mark in Cheat Lake reports, in episode Iowa State recap text alert, regarding game stats not telling the true story, can someone explain how games are evaluated? I imagine a data analyst evaluating game tapes while scoring players and formations, etc. If this is the case, wouldn't there be variability by data analysis, i.e., the stats would vary by evaluators? The data seems like it would be subjective. Martin Cheek Lake.
Well, that's for spreads. That's over me. That's over
there's
my
the
head.
short answer because I don't want to bog everybody down with that. But in the PFF, you can go in and read about how PFF does it and who they hire to do their analysis. There's probably some of that, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some
human.
of that because it's different. It's different people evaluating different games. So yeah, there's going to be some subjectivity. And listen, I use those numbers a lot. I use PFF a lot in particular. I understand there's like everything. There's criticism of that, but I do think it gives us outside of the coaching room a way to look at things and compare.
Absolutely.
While acknowledging that it may not be 100% perfect right on. It gets a lot closer than it does if you just get on and you guess and you go off just not having those to back up. But to answer the question, I think you're right. I think there is some subjectivity, no question.
Mike in Charleston checking in at this point with the metrics, NIL, money, and all things semi-pro, pro football, and college. Shouldn't we get to see final reports on referees? We see player, team, and coaching stats to the deepest level. Why not see feedback on the referees? What say you, Mike in Charleston?
That's teeing up Brad there.
You don't have to say what say you. If you've listened to this show before, you know exactly where I stand on that.
The NBA,
and
to
NFL.
my knowledge, is the best at the final 2 minutes of a game. The NBA will release a report. They're as close to trying to be as clean as they can be.
I think baseball might even be closer. Baseball puts out a lot on percentages on right or wrong on balls and strikes calls. I think Major League Baseball's probably the closest. And listen, I get that it's a hard line to walk because if you go to any youth games, you see some just ridiculous behavior from parents and coaches towards officials that you're trying to get experience hop to grow up and be in high school, college, and the professional level. It is a hard ask to ask people to do some of those youth games. I've seen it with my own eyes, been right around it, and it's absolute an embarrassment. So I get that some of that is trying to protect those men and women that are doing a very difficult job. I understand that. But as I often say on here, if we're in an era when there's coaches making millions of dollars, when there's players at times making millions of dollars, and people are losing jobs because of that as one of the factors, then I think you've got to be able to talk about it, ask questions, and get some answers on that particular part of the game.
Yeah. Like the league admitted this week that they missed that pass interference on Cole Taylor. Too late now. But and that won't come out publicly. That won't come out publicly. But they did.
Really? Oh, really?
But they did.
How did you know? Well, you know because
I know because I know. So
okay.
Texter says, I noticed Hoppy said he had an empty stomach at the food court when he ate the fried Reese's. I suppose his wife was not there to place his dinner order at the food truck?
True.
Kind of a good point. By the way, can I retract something that was said earlier?
Yeah.
No brownie house this weekend.
Oh.
So if you want a sweet treat there, get those s'mores from Duca. Duca is also going to have special edition waffles.
What now?
For Saturday morning.
Oh, that's
How about that?
So there you go.
That's nice.
Sorry for the confusion.
Get a big old waffle.
Brownie House back soon.
Hey, three guys. Kent from Denver, formerly Charleston, South Carolina, originally from Morgantown. Three things. First, I started the Iowa State recap episode before I looked at a single box score from the weekend. When Tony said we were 9 of 13 on third down, I pulled the car over and looked because I didn't believe it, underscoring all of Brad's comments. Second, after our next win, I want just one of these knuckleheads to text in and comment on the great coaching job Neil did, not holding my breath on that one. Third, and finally, this is my fault for listening to three guys on 1.25x speed. But in the Iowa State preview, about 33 minutes into the show, Brad said, "Here's your suit." I had to rewind and slow it down because I thought for sure we had our first PG moment on three guys. It gave me a good chuckle. Appreciate all the three of you do and those behind the scenes do to keep us informed and entertained. So I guess if you listen to you say, "Here's your suit," 1.25, it sounds like something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a nasty. Sounds like a nasty.
It does?
I guess. Joey B. in Athens. Brad does not believe in the Mothman, huh?
What?
Explains this strange creature on 119 South near South Charleston. Made a U-turn to go back and take a picture. The Mothman apparently alive and well. Pretty sure he had a Tudor's biscuit or two and a Fly Rod Slim Jim. Unconfirmed, though. Joey B. in Athens,
Hold on,
West
here.
Virginia.
I'm
See
the
the
only one
picture?
on. I'm the only one on the panel that believes in the Mothman. Very reverent to the Mothman. How did we miss that, Joey?
No, there's different views.
I'm the only one that says knock it off. I'm right there.
Did you see the picture?
Well, I don't need to see the picture. I'm on board with that. He's the one that says there's no Mothman.
I know.
He's the one that says it's not real.
I know.
You won't declare anything. You're just over there waffling around. I'm the one that says I believe in it. So get off my butt about that. Just to be clear with Mothman listening,
I didn't say there isn't a Mothman. I just said I know him. That's what I said. And I know him. And to be quite honest with you, and chatting up with him, not all that long ago, he said, "You know what? After a big night of scaring people, I go to Tudor's Biscuit World." Why? Because they've got some doggone good biscuits, and they are. They're currently expanding, and they're searching for franchisees. That's right. Tudor's Biscuit World, with over 70 locations, is now looking for franchisees, and you can capitalize on their 40 years of success, the great brand equity that they have in the world of casual restaurant chain, breakfast food, and more. Made from scratch buttermilk biscuits, homemade breakfast items, thousands of daily customers across 4 states. If you're interested, contact Tudor's Biscuit World. They are expanding. Texter, John S. Marshall, writes in from St. Clairsville, Ohio. Congratulations to Brad on joining the Mountaineers Sports Network. We look forward to hearing his basketball analysis as Tony's partner. Did you hear about this yet, Hoppy?
I heard about that. Congratulated Brad. I think that's a tremendous hire. Brad is a pro. He is always well prepared, and you guys will make a tremendous basketball broadcast team. Look forward to listening to you both.
Mike and Myrtle, congratulations on the new additional gig. I enjoyed your few times on the broadcast. Was hoping you'd be the choice. You bring some great insight to the analytics. Help make the average fan better understand what's going on with the decisions and why. I'll be listening from hopefully a warmer South Carolina. Have a great season.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The challenge will be basketball moves pretty quickly. So, Tony, after the bucket, when the team is coming the other way and Brad has like 8 minutes worth of analytics, it's going to be hard at that point. He'll have to trim it down.
You're trying to throw a rift in between us before we even start. Is that what his goal is, Senator? See, he's trying to get break chemistry. He's trying to blow
did
chemistry.
Did he just say something? I didn't hear him. Think we'll be all right.
Who does it? Will you still do the coach interview, Tony?
Yeah.
And then halftime, is it you go back to the
Senator have halftime.
Senator has halftime?
Yeah.
All
Senator take halftime.
All right.
Post game. After listening to the post-Cyclone game episode, I decided someone needs to come up with a new stat line. WSOITF. We shot ourselves in the foot index.
That's good.
This game was the second highest for the season, with the top WSOITF index game being Pitt. Texter.
That's a good one, actually.
It is.
Yeah. First-time texter, I was at the Coal Rush this past weekend for the annual pilgrimage with my buddies. Besides the outcome of the game, It was one of the best trips ever, largely thanks to you guys. Thanks. I wouldn't know if I didn't listen to the podcast that, number one, the Friday night stadium tour exists. What an experience. Best $25 I ever spent. I recommend it big time. Number two, the food court. Visited Saturday before the game, had a couple of Connection 304s. All the hype is true. 4-star beer. Had the Rev Kev box. Got myself one of those awesome Three Guys hats. Plus the Senatore. Chatted with my group for at least 15 minutes, which was awesome. He's statesmanlike, clairvoyant. We both felt good about the game, but the senator cautioned me that 2 turnovers would result in the there you are with those guys right there.
Oh.
Anyway, love the show. Thanks for making our weekend in Morgantown special. Thanks to the senator for the time.
Great guys. Guy far left from Dallas. Others from Virginia they were in. That was awesome. Had a great time talking to you. Thanks, fellas.
Wait a minute. Do you mean that?
Sorry that I was right on the turnover one.
Yeah, you nailed it. Do you mean that you can be disappointed with the loss, but still have had a good experience?
Don't start.
Just wondering.
Hello, guys. On Sunday, on the banks of the Brazos River, it was truly a great day to be a Mountaineer. It was a thrill getting to witness victory number 400 for Coach Nikki Izzo Brown and our women's soccer program. I hope folks around the University City will come out and support the team at their last 2 home dates in the next couple of days.
400.
That's yes. I just saw Nikki this morning, as a matter of fact. Joe Mock writes, that was Joe. He's the donut guy.
Allegedly.
I got him working for me next Saturday.
What now?
Mock weren't going to work for me next Saturday.
What do you mean?
Well, he let me know he was going to the Arizona game.
Oh, is he spotting for you?
I said, hey, Joe, yeah, you ever spotted before, Joe? He's in.
Really?
Huge shout out to his wife, April. Now, she's going with him. Now, she's going to be sitting in the stands by herself at Joe's spot. Unless April can do stats, then we'd hire her.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive for Nikki. That's a long period of sustained success.
400 soccer wins?
For her in that program.
Think about that.
That's incredible.
It is. And they do play tonight. We're recording on the 17th. They play tonight. Texter, Sean in Washington State. Hey, guys, college football, funny thing. Young men are unpredictable. K-State coming off a huge road win. Right back out on the road against a team that appears to be down and out. West Virginia getting poked, prodded all week after making numerous mistakes while losing a game where they were just as talented. It could be a perfect storm.
We'll see.
Sean liking situational advantage.
Situational advantage. There is. You can. Well, you said it, Brad. I mean, you can find a way to see a situational advantage. Now, whether you do or not, and whether you capitalize on that.
I do not love this matchup, though.
You don't?
I think Kansas State's really good.
Do you?
Yeah. Their ability to run it.
Yeah. Well.
Nick the Greek, originally from Bridgeport, now from the Texas Hill Country. He addresses Neil's comment that you talked about, Hoppy.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on and say, I think the major error was not replacing the center position. I know Brandon Yates was on the field to make line calls, but he could have moved him to right guard where he played last year, allowed him to stay on the field. What are your thoughts on that scenario, and could we see it this week?
Tony, did you talk to the coach about that?
I'm going to get him tonight on that during his talk show. You know,
he answered it during the press conference, though, and I think the answer would be what the obvious. They didn't make a change. So what did they think?
That
they
was
felt
still their
better
best.
that Yates, even with what he was dealing with, was a better option than what they had. And he said they like Landon Livingston, who's the backup, who's come in and played well at times. That would have been a lot to ask of him. So as you would expect, they thought the starter, even with an issue, was going to be the better option. You can debate all day long if that was in fact the case, because that was a major factor in that game, but that was their thinking. They evaluated it, looked at it. It's not like they didn't know that was something that was up for discussion. They chose that Brandon was the better option at that time.
Yeah, normally, Nick, on that is when you ask a coach about a situation like that, they will tell you, whether it's football, basketball, whatever the sport, they'll say, like, we felt that was our best opportunity, or that was the best situation. Now, in hindsight, when there were 11 snaps that oft played plays, so we'll talk about that tonight when I chat with him. Hey, three guys. Eric from Cincinnati, by way of the Parkersburg area. Great story for you guys. I took my wife on her dream trip to Europe this summer. One fine morning, fancy hotel breakfast in Paris. I'm selecting various danishes and croissants from a buffet, and as I started to walk away from the table, I came nearly face to face with another gentleman from the States. We both froze for a moment, as I was surprised by the "Go Pitt" on the front of his shirt, and he by the flying WV on the front of mine. He looked up at me, frowned, and said, "You're not going to sing that damn song, are you?" I laughed and said, "Always a connection." I don't think he knew what I meant, but I figured this was a good one for three guys. Let's go.
Highest level of French fashion there.
I was thinking the same thing. I bet you those French people love to see a dude with a Go Pit on it. That doesn't go over real well there in the fashion capital of the world. These ugly Americans come here with these stupid things on these shirts. Tailgate Dean and the basketball broadcast team, congratulations on becoming the new commentator. Spread's looking forward to your broadcasts. Well deserved.
Thank you.
You guys are going to premiere tomorrow night, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Final thoughts on Iowa State. I don't believe the statistics lied at all. In reality, we were in a competitive one-score game until the fourth and playing good defense, sans the one blown play, arguably our best opponent-adjusted performance. But Mountaineer fans were emotionally down by 30 because of our history against their defense. I loved your wind-chill comparison. It's absolutely true. Let's see if we can bounce back this week. Another great opportunity, not Charlie in Charleston.
But you have to find a way to win those games because you look at so you were evenly matched. What was the difference? 2 turnovers, missed field goal, those kinds of things. But that's what's slipping away from you, and I think that's what's frustrating fans. Iowa State's not that much better than you are, right?
No, they're just playing better.
Right.
Played better.
Right.
Oh, it makes you scream.
Yeah.
It makes you scream.
Go ahead. Then I'll finish.
I was just going to say, the reason why everyone's nerves are raw is because of the Pitt game.
Yes.
When you're up 10, and then this one. That's what makes you just want to scream. I get that completely. I'm screaming too. I get it.
The Pitt game is a season-long canker sore. It's just there. It's going to be there the whole season. Irritating and sore.
Tony, I think you're right. I mean, everybody wants to win. I think where I'm struggling with this group, and this is what sometimes happens during the course of the season as ebbs and flows. You're trying to look at this and say, are you close or are you a long way away? Are the mistakes that are preventing you from winning games against what has turned out to be really good teams? There's 8 undefeated teams in Power 4. You've lost to 3 of them. I don't think anybody else has done that, right? So is it you making too many mistakes against good teams and you're about to change that fortune and win some of those games with some other opponents? Or is this just who you are and you can't make enough plays to get over the hump and win? And that's what you're still trying to figure out as you're flying the plane. So do you take the pessimistic approach that you're losing some games you should have won, or do you look at the other part and say, okay, maybe there's some wins coming down the road and you're due for some regression going the other way, right? You got it against Kansas. You were losing that game and found a way to pull a miracle win like Pitt did against you. So what are you? I think that's why when I was talking about statistics lying to you a little bit, you're still trying to figure out which of those are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we don't know the full answer yet.
Right now, a couple of these stats services, power ranking systems, Sager and things like that, at least 2 of them have West Virginia as the top 10 toughest schedule in the country. Now, after Kansas State, those numbers of those teams that you're about to play significantly drop, like 30 and below. So there's hay to be made, as Brad is saying. There's going to be hay to be made. If you can hang in here, get this one on Saturday, you have the opportunity to still be really solid, but you got to get it done.
But as you start to get to this point in the season, things that pop up and they keep popping up turn out to be characteristics, not one-offs. That's what you're trying to decide. Yep. Blown assignments defensively can't continue to happen. Inefficiencies offense in the same areas can't continue to happen, or that's just going to be who you are, and you're going to end up with a record that you're not happy with. Can that change, or are those just in the DNA of this particular team? That's what you're trying to fight through here.
Correct. This next one's pretty wild. Hello, 3 guys. This past weekend, my friend Kevin and I had the opportunity to deliver supplies to Old Fort, North Carolina to aid those impacted by Hurricane Helene. We had 50 trucks and trailers in our convoy, filled an entire local church up with much-needed items. As I was carrying in a box of canned goods, a local volunteer inside the church asked, "Where are you guys from?" I said, "Mostly from north central West Virginia." She replied, "Really? I grew up in Frametown.
Of course you
and
did.
moved down here in high school. I responded with, my mother grew up in Frametown, and I lived in Gassaway until I was 3. Turns out my mom and her grew up 5 houses apart and were friends throughout middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just goes
Why
to
wouldn't
show,
they
Yeah.
always
Obviously.
a West Virginia connection signed by the lawman in Fairmont.
They have pictures?
Yeah, put that back up if you would, please, Austin. That's the stuff they
Oh,
brought
my.
into that church.
Great work. Good help.
I finally figured out who the lawman is. I know who that is.
Who?
He works scores table in basketball.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know he ID'd himself as lawman.
Okay.
Okay, now I know who he is. Because he had told me when we were leaving the other day that he had gone down there. Texter, hello, Mike from Salem, checking in with a concern after a long texting hiatus. My wife had our first child May the 23rd on her birthday, nonetheless. His name is Maverick from Salem.
Congratulations.
Wait a minute. Is that his name, Maverick from Salem?
Yeah. He's going to be a texter soon.
Oh. Okay.
Well, his dad's Mike from Salem, so he would be Maverick from Salem.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that with all the talk of certain persons across all the Metro News sports podcasts, his first words might be Andy Kotelnicki instead of more traditional ones. Thanks for the entertainment, guys. Congratulations, Brett, on your new gig. Mike from Salem signing off. Goodbye.
Andy
Mike.
Kotelnicki.
Andy Kotelnicki.
Well, I'm glad that we got that text because we had not gotten his name in this podcast.
That's a great point.
We missed last week. I think we didn't get
Did
it.
we?
We didn't get him in last
Might
week?
have been his first week. He was out. Hey, 3 guys. Professor Vinny here. I had my dad, Joe, dial up the efforting to land me some of that Sweet Connection 304 beer. He did not disappoint. It's a good beer. Let's just hope I can enjoy it this time with a WV victory on Saturday. There's Joe, his dad, and there's Vinny. That may be a tall order. So there you guys go. Enjoy it. He's
Thank
out
you,
there.
guys.
He's out there in Illinois. He's in Illinois. Is where he is. Now, Hoppy, you know we're going to get a new airplane flight from here in Morgantown right to Illinois.
To Chicago, right?
Right, Chicago, Illinois. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, we'll
that'll be kind of nice. Maybe Professor Vinny, he can make it over a little bit easier now.
fly right in
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
International Airport.
Greater Morgantown International.
Bridgeport used to have that. I did that. That was a nice, easy trip.
I did too. Went and saw.
Flew right in. Got a Cubs game in.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Right on Michigan Avenue. It was great.
When?
Super easy. A couple years ago. Spring break.
I did it. I went and
Took
saw
kids.
Hamilton.
Really?
Yeah,
Had
that's a
great
short.
food.
That's a short little hop.
Did I ever tell you years ago I took a flight from Morgantown to Clarksburg?
You did tell me. That's a
I
great
did.
story
Yeah.
because that's where the thing was connecting, right?
No, I had to get to Clarksburg, and I was meeting somebody, and they had the car, so I went to the. So I checked it out, and I went to the Morgantown Airport, and I said, "I'd like to buy a ticket to Clarksburg."
One way.
And one way, and they looked at me like, "I'm not sure you can do that." I said, "Yeah, I think you can." So
That was a pretty good ride, huh?
yeah, like $30 at the time.
Like 9
For about
minutes.
30 seconds.
Yeah, you got on like you took off and then you landed.
It was $30?
back then, something like that, something crazy.
Because I might do that now. If it's worth
Or does
$30.
that-
I might
Oh.
know.
And another, maybe again, I'll tell you about my flight to Charleston that time.
Let me hear it now.
No, I've told you that.
No, I don't think I have. Let me hear it. What is it?
No, I was invited to moderate a conference in Charleston or something, and I didn't want to do it. And so I said to the person arranging it, I'll do it if you fly me down and back, like big timing, right?
That's fine.
I think I said,
Yeah.
all right, we'll do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, all right. So I show up at Hartfield, and the airport is this little cub. It holds like 2 people, right?
Piloting you.
It piloted me. So I get on the plane. It takes like an hour 45 to go down there. We're flying like right on I-79.
Under the speed limit?
Same speed as cars.
Dude, I had one of those myself. So you remember that day that Miami and Vinny Testaverde beat us 200-0
Yeah,
here?
yes,
right?
I do. Was Michael Irvin on that
Michael
team?
Irvin,
Yeah,
Vinny
yeah.
Testaverde,
Yeah,
that was a
70 or
great team.
something,
Jerome Brown.
Yeah.
So back then in that era, we were broadcasting, don't ask me why, we were producing motor car races,
Yeah.
short track.
Yeah.
So the engineer and I, the late John McKinney, same deal. The airplane's going to come pick us up, going to fly us to Winchester, Indiana. That night, we go into Saberton, get pizza, right?
Yeah.
Go to the airport. Plane comes in. So it's like McKinney sits where the co-pilot sits. There's like one seat for me. Okay. We go up, same deal.
Yeah.
We're over the interstate, and the cars are parallel. It took us about 4 hours to get to Winchester, Indiana, and McKinney smoking cigarettes like there's no, like all the fuselage is just like, and the thing is like about 400 dB. You can't hear. It's just like, I just like, just kill me now. I'm dead.
I'm jumping out. I'm getting out. Brad, you had any of those?
I don't think.
I'll tell you another one real quick. Well, since we're not on time, Jack Fleming was doing a Mountaineer football game once. It was, I think it was the Steelers were still in exhibition mode. He was doing the Steelers at the time. Did a Mountaineer game on a Saturday. Steelers were playing a Saturday night exhibition. And he tells Mike Parsons, like, Parsons, he says, I think he might have wanted to like not do the game. Parsons, no, we got to have you do the guy. Got to have you do the game. He goes, I'll get you a plane. Okay. So Fleming used to colorfully tell this story after it happened. Now he was a navigator in the war, so he knew, right? I mean, he got shot down over France. Jack fell out. I mean,
Recuperated at the Greenbrier.
Yeah, parachuted out of an airplane after he was shot down in France. Got hung in a tree. Anyway, so he knows he's not new to this thing. So like the next week he comes over, Jack. He says, "Hey, Jack."
No.
He says, "Where's Parsons?" Well, what's up, Jack? He says, "He's on the end of an airplane for me." He said, "I could barely fit into that thing." He said, I knew. I just knew.
He wasn't happy.
Parsons had him on like a Briggs and Stratton 32 horsepower. You just some things you just used to do, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're out. Back again Sunday morning. We'll post by noon, recapping K-State and the Mountaineers. Plus, we'll have basketball to talk about.
We will.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
You are going to the game Friday?
I'll go.
You'll be there?
You're going to go?
I'll go.
Okay,
What
Brad's
time you
going to
going?
go. You'll be there in time for
I'll
tip?
get
3
there for
hours
10.
early?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
At 4.
Yeah, like 4 o'clock. In there all nervous. All
It's not
dressed.
nervous. It's just prep. Get there and be ready.
You'll be tight.
Got to get a feel.
You guys, I know
Gotta get a
this.
feel.
You'll be You'll be the best broadcast team in the league.
I don't know if we're going to go strong first game. Exhibition, I might not go full suit.
Brad?
Might just go quarter
Same.
zip. You going to go quarter zip?
So I'll go something in that, a little more West Virginia casual for that.
Okay.
Right, there's business casual, there's West Virginia casual.
I'll be at 3 guys.
Yeah, thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
for doing
my pleasure.
that. I'm going to go over Saturday.
I'll be there Saturday.
Okay.
Three Guys is brought to us by Comax Business System, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Tudor's Biscuits. Go pull up one this weekend. Get about 19 of them. Just put them in the back seat of your car. They'll stay.
Eat them as you need them.
Eat them as exactly. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. Thanks to our producer, Austin Wright. We're out. Thanks for checking us in on 584 of Three Guys Before the Game. See you.